Well folks, here it is, my unboxing of the Rapido Kool-aid edition F40PH-2D locomotive. You guys encouraged me. It was a tough draw between the Tellus one and the Kool-aid one, and I obviously ultimately decided on the Tellus one, but I couldn't help myself. The guy at the hobby shop said he might be able to get his hands on another one. He wasn't able to, but he had another F40, so what he did was he swapped it because it was a DC model with a DCC model he had of this one, and I was able to get one instantly. So here it is. Take the box off. Looks like all generally the same stuff. I don't know what this is. White River Productions. I don't think I got this with my other one. Interesting. And just as before, here's the complete breakdown, which I believe is the same. I mean, there's no difference on the inside as far as I know. Here's our little sheet. Now the more exciting stuff. Hopefully I haven't got this upside down. I have. Oh yeah. Oh, look at that, isn't that cool? So yeah, just like the Tellus edition, this is one of the ones Via had at some point during the 2000s, I believe. Might have been the 90s, I don't know to be honest, but this is just one of their cool wraps they had back then. Let's take her out. This was taken out at the hobby shop to basically just make sure it was all in working order. I think it might have been packaged up backwards because I'm realizing the handrails, just like on my other one, are bent in. But anyways, let's take this thing out. Wow. Look at that. I noticed just a second ago, this happened at some point on the trip from the hobby shop to my house. The bug deflector, or the sun visor, sorry, came off of this one as well. But anyways, such a cool model. Let's go test this thing, because I'm kind of excited. Well folks, just as I said with the Tellus unit, you really have to see these things in real life to appreciate the detail. They're so much better in person than they are in all the pictures online. Anyways, let's take this thing for a short little test run because, well, I want to see how well it runs. Well, we've got her set up with the LRC cars, and we've got the momentum set, so the engine will start to accelerate as it is at the moment. And, wow. Let's do the dirty track. Yeah, as Rapido does. Very, very smooth. And just as I did with the Tellus model, I thought I'd give you guys a close-up shot of the locomotive so you guys can see all the little details on the locomotive itself. Now we'll start with the side. This is, I believe, the French translation for Be Cool, since some Via trains operate out in Quebec where the language is predominantly French. Just as with the other Tellus model, you can see the details just amazing. You've got actual handrails to climb up to the cab for each door, which is very cool. As I said in the last video, there's not really much explaining to do. Basically, it's just a lot more detail for the bottom. Not as many manufacturers focus on this on the bottom of the locomotive, but I find Rapido did a very good job with it. And as I pointed out last video, these are actual grills, which is amazing. It's not something you see on a lot of locomotives. And coming around the back, you can see it's pretty common. I don't think these are the typical color for Via, though. If I'm not mistaken, they did them in a slightly different color, so that was custom to the Kool-aid versions, which is kind of cool. And if we come around to this side, it's basically the same as the other side. I've got all the Kool-aid faces, Mr. Kool-aid Man, I don't know what he's called. There we've got the English version of Be Cool, because as some of you guys may know, any wise person will tell you that if you have trouble being cool, you can drink Kool-aid and it will aid you in being cool. And that's a real fact. And we're around to the front of the locomotive. One thing I did notice, which is different from the TELUS model, is that there's a Canadian flag here, and I think most Via trains had that. I'm not entirely sure what it's for, to be honest, but I actually like that detail. I wish they included it on the TELUS one as well. And of course you got the Kool-aid markings. The front is basically the same as any other Via train, except with the Kool-aid markings, obviously. Yeah, we got the bus cables. And the two ditch lights. Interestingly, even though this is also a DC model, the headlights come on this one as well as the ditch lights, versus on my TELUS one only the ditch lights come on. So I'm not sure if that's a setting that could be adjusted, but that's something I thought was kind of cool. One thing I did forget to show you last time was the top, because the top is actually quite nice. All the cooling vents, and just as before, they do actually go right through. There are actual fans below this, which is amazing. Looks like the horns are a bit out of place. There we go. So yeah, they did a very, very nice job with that. One thing I did notice is this version does not include a option to put a AC unit over the cab, which is something I was kind of surprised at. I'm not sure if that's something that wasn't ever on one of these models, or if it's just something they didn't include with this particular one. But that was something I wasn't expecting. So that's all the detail on this model. Now let's continue running it. Well, as some of you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of having more than one locomotive on the same train under DC power, because you have to have the locomotive speed coordinated perfectly, or else one engine will be working a lot harder than the other, which is not a situation you want. There is an exception though, which is where if you have two engines of the same make and of the same age, usually you can get away with it. So we have the Kool-aid one obviously on the front, and behind it we have the TELUS version. So we're going to give this unit a bit of power, and there we go. Wow, does that ever look cool?